Speedrun.com is the largest library of people doing games quickly. If the game exists, odds are someone is speedrunning it and it is on this website. But something you may not know about Speedrun.com is Roblox is kind of taking over the scene. Roblox now represents 10 of the top 30 most run games at the moment. Most impressively, Roblox Grace, which has been bouncing around in the top 3, up there with games like Silksong and Celeste and the infamous Super Mario 64. There are a ton of old Roblox games that still have people running them to this day, like Speedrun 4, Eternal Towers of Hell, or Flee the Facility. But I wanted to look at games that haven't aged as gracefully. For whatever reason, they were left behind with 0 runners. With competition being non-existent, would I be able to climb into the top players, or are there no players left because the world record couldn't possibly go any lower? I was determined to find out. The first step was to pick which game I was going to run, and to me, this felt like a no-brainer. A second ago, I mentioned a game called Speedrun 4. It's a classic Roblox game many of you probably remember, created in 2014 and still has 156 active runners. However, this game is actually a recreation of a game simply called Speedrun. I'm not sure what happened to Speedrun 2 or 3, or if they even existed to begin with, but with consistent updates and overall better presentation, Speedrun 4 came out on top as the definitive fast obby game, leaving the original speedrun game to wither away in the background. Only 32 people have ever run this game, and the oldest run was posted over 10 years ago by a player named Upperan. Unfortunately, the video no longer is available, so we'll have to look at some other runs to get a good idea of what we're up against here. If we're going to have any chance of beating these guys, we're going to have to learn from the very best. So let's take a look at Comic Might. Comic is the #1 runner of all time when it comes to classic speedrun, with a time of 7 minutes and 55 seconds, just barely stealing the top spot by 200 milliseconds. Wow. This run was posted over a year ago and nothing has happened since, and with no other active runners on the site, I think it's safe to call this category completely dead. Taking a look at Comic's world record, there's a few things he does that gives himself an edge. He tries to cut corners wherever he can, he keeps his turns to a minimum, only moving the mouse when he absolutely needs to. At the end of each level, he also spins his camera around so he's facing the right direction when he spawns into the next stage. You'll notice most of the time he's abruptly slowed before he can get to the next stage portal. This means the last platform kills your speed completely, so we're gonna have to get a good bounce into the portal on most of these stages. Near 5 minutes into Comic's run, he does something unexpected. He runs on the side of the wall here in order to cut corners. We'll have to pull off something similar if we want to compete with these times. Now we have to take what we've learned and put it into action. There's a couple different rules we're gonna need to follow in order to do this run. Number 1, reset level skip is not allowed. 2, we can only use 60 FPS, no more FPS than that. Don't ask why. 3, it must be recorded, and 4, timer starts when you move from the spawn point and the run ends on the completion of the 15th level. So my first couple runs didn't go so well. I immediately break one of the rules. I should have already started the timer. All right, there we go. I finally did it. And I fail on the second jump. It's gonna be a long video. I was feeling things out, you know, never really making it that far. Feeling it out, guys. I'm feeling it out. Couple things I learned right off the bat. I keep forgetting to turn to face the right direction when going through the portal. Spam jumping is not the move. It can really glitch your character into the ramp on steep slopes. It does not help you at all. There's also a couple weird physics bugs that I'd consider run killers. For example, this one part of the 13th level has a high likelihood of glitching you off the platform if you have shift lock enabled. I'll have to remember to unshift lock at this part specifically. And here on level 14, where if you try to jump the gap at the wrong angle, you'll never be able to make it. And on the last level, there's a jump here that's just very difficult at the speed your character is moving, and the blocks have this glowing effect on them, which makes it hard to see. If you lower the graphics, you can get a better view on the blocks, but this one jump could ruin the entire run right at the end. Now that I've gone through every stage at least once and learned what I could, it's time to give it a real shot. Jumping back into it, I had a strong start but completely whiffed the jump about a minute and a half in. If we're ever gonna get a good time on this game, I can't be making stupid mistakes like this. So I started again, and this time I was doing much better. I had a great angle towards the portal on the first level and was starting to get the teleport spin down. I made a mental note of that one jump on level 3 and did not make the same mistake this time. Up until this point, I had been playing in a public server, meaning realistically anyone can join at any time. And maybe you've already noticed, but somebody already did, and his name was Colt. Colt was definitely not here to grind speedruns, just casually going through the levels, and once I got to level 4, I was gaining on him. And we both reached the stage portal at the exact same time, and I'd come to find out that's very bad. I wish you could hear my reaction here, but I was a fool, and my mic was not recording, but just use your imagination. I was extremely furious. Because speedrun is such an old game, it doesn't allow 2 players to be teleported at the same time. If one person enters a stage portal, it will prevent anyone else from teleporting for a short period. For obvious reasons, this is terrible for our speedruns, and I'll have to make sure this doesn't happen on the next stage. I'm gonna have to overtake Colt so he can't sabotage the run, which wasn't very hard because he fell immediately on the next stage. I blasted through stages 5 and 6 without breaking a sweat, but stage 7 gave me some problems.
Can't make it. I beg you!
For those of you who are confused about what just happened, I was too, so let me break it down. The reason I died was because I touched this cactus. I didn't know you couldn't touch those, but now we do. On top of that, I respawned facing the wrong direction, which made me walk into the stage portal, sending me back to the previous stage. But this is the best I've done thus far, so I decided to finish the run even though it was getting very sloppy. Stage 8, I forgot to jump. Almost flew off the map on stage 10, but managed to cut corners decently well. Forgot to jump again on stage 13. Really gotta stop doing that. But thankfully, I remembered to unshift lock here, probably saved me another respawn and finished up the stage no problem. With 8 minutes on the clock, I entered the final stage and I blew it. This one corner I was so worried about earlier, and it came back to haunt me. Not once, but twice. Third time's the charm. I nailed the jump and finished the run with a 9:49. Which actually puts me in the top 10 runners of all time, right between Faithful and Steak Knife. But my ultimate goal, if possible, was landing somewhere in the top 5, to truly consider this speedrun beaten. Now there's a ton I need to improve on, but first thing I gotta do is go to a private server. By this time, my cover was blown and people are joining. They were only going to get in the way, like Colt. So I said goodbye and headed off to my next run. First private server run didn't go great. I died way too many times and I just gave up. But the next went a lot better. I managed to go deathless all the way up till stage 10, but I could not pull it together on this corner. After that, I whiffed again on stage 11, and again on stage 13. But I learned something pretty important here. In order to make it up this slope, I knew I had to unshift lock, but I also have to right click at the same time, or I'm just gonna slip right off. I knocked out the rest of the levels no problem, finished the race getting my PB down to 9 minutes and 21 seconds, which brings me no closer to getting into the top 5. I knew I had to get a completely deathless run in order to even stand a chance. I went on to have the worst run ever, where I stopped recording before I even finished because I knew there was no point. An 11-minute DNF. Everything was actually going really well at first, but this damn Nether Fortress corner. But the biggest issue was the last stage. I died so many times here, it's not even funny. It's not even flipping funny. My next run was a little bit better, only dying twice, once on stage 5, no, and again on stage 13. Come on, dude. If it wasn't for these 2 slip-ups, I would have been home free, smooth sailing to that Mr. Top 5. But I'm just washed, man. On the bright side, I got a new PB of sub 9 minutes. Going into my next run, I was feeling confident. Feeling real good about this one, I think. As I reached the end of stage 7, I was making great pace. I was really afraid of dying on this one, so I chickened out of the corner skip on stage 10 just to play it safe. I also got a little bit stuck. I was scared, okay? I had made it all the way to the last stage with no deaths. Approaching the hardest jump, the timer was passing 8 minutes, and I make it. I could still get around 8:15 if I just... No. 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 Oh, that was it. That was it. A single death on the last stage. I clocked in at 8:44, my new PB, but this one felt bad, folks. I was so close and had it all ripped away. On the bright side, this means I was moving up the leaderboard, passing Steak Knife and taking 9th place. After this, I continued to do runs, but I was accumulating way too much footage on my computer, so I started only saving recordings where something truly incredible happened. We've learned by now, if there's even a single mistake, there's no chance at beating this run. Everything had to be perfect. was on a generational run, and my brother storms in and decides now is a good time to order food.
Okay, create your own tacos. You want normal chicken?
Double chicken, grilled dodo. Yeah.
I couldn't let him distract me from my ultimate goal.
No sour cream?
I'm gonna blame Ethan for this one, but the next blunder was all on me. We were on great pace going into stage 10, and this damn corner skip messed me up. This stage is one of the big hurdles we've had to overcome, but I still felt like it was robbing me of otherwise solid runs. So I took some time to practice this corner over and over again. With some more practice under my belt, I was ready to give this one more go. Every couple of days, I would try my luck at attempting a deathless run, but every time I would die cutting a corner, or my brain would fry and I would forget to hit the space bar. But on November 4th, 2025, I loaded up Speedrun for a couple more attempts and had one where I made it all the way to stage 10 with no deaths. Coming up on the corner skip, it was a little sloppy, but this was a major confidence booster. One of the hardest corners out of the way, I was on pace for great time. Stage 13, I almost lost my life to this fun little glitch, but I pulled through. I always would psych myself out on this corner, but this time I remained calm and collected. With 7 minutes and 52 seconds on the clock, I entered the final stage. There is no time for hesitation. The perfect corner! I finished the run with an 8:24. Huh. While this was my personal best and a fantastic time, I was a little confused. If I wanted to get top 5, I was gonna have to cut at least 10 seconds off my time, but that didn't seem possible. Besides getting a slightly better bounce into the portal between stages, or just getting lucky avoiding the character torso sliding glitch I keep getting, it didn't seem like there was a whole lot more I could do to improve. Slightly disheartened, I went back to rewatch the world record holder. Maybe there was something he was doing that I wasn't. And one thing stood out to me right away that hadn't occurred to me before. Comic is using R15 for his runs. If you made it this far in the video, you probably already know the difference between R6 and R15, but if you don't, let me explain. Roblox has a wide array of character models the player can use, but the two packages games usually stick to are R6 or R15, both named after how many parts are used to make up the character. The point is, these two character packages have different physics implications for how the game works. So what's the big deal? I'll switch to R15 and do some runs that way. Well, it's not that simple. If I had scrolled down on the main page category, I would have seen a comment left 3 months ago by somebody named Gavin Gamer 321, saying no longer available in R15. If I click that, it reveals more posts from Gavin, reading, I think the game is now preset to R6. Unless there's a different game or a way around this, I'm pretty sure it's only R6 now. And this might partially explain why this game is a dead speedrun to begin with. Besides the obvious reasons like it's old or it's not very fun to run, but it's also because everyone is soft locked out of the main category. This is all to say I've been fighting ghosts this entire time and was never going to reach top 5. But lucky for me, there is a separate category aptly named 15 levels, no avatar bundles, which I guess is the new main category now after the earth-shattering news from Gavin Gamer. So we got good news, great news, and some bad news. Good news is there's only 2 people who have ever run 15 levels, no bundles. The great news is comparing my time to theirs firmly puts me in close second. The bad news is this kind of makes my getting top 5 goal completely pointless, seeing as how I could have gotten any time really and still come in third. So if I really wanted to beat this dead speedrun, I was going to have to defeat Afterstrit. That is really his name.